All right, what's going on, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Well, we were close. We almost had it. But as they say, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Doesn't count at the sports book, right? It's like playing the lottery and missing that lottery by one number. That's pretty much what happened to us last night. If you guys all remember and watched the beating the odds with Beeb prediction, we did say that Conceicao was more than capable of scoring the upset over Oscar Valdez, and we recommended making a small wager on Conceicao at 10 to 1, anywhere from 8 to 1 to 10 to 1. You were going to get by laying a small wager on Conceicao. I'm not going to go into the reasons why we picked him. You can go watch the Beating the Odds with B video breaking that down. But what we are going to talk about now is all this controversy surrounding the scorecards and if it's justified. Was this fight a robbery? Right? Well, to be fair, it was definitely a close fight, right? Uh, you can argue that I think it was 117 to 110 scorecard was off. That's fine, but again, we're kind of getting used to having that one crazy scorecard. But let's talk about this fight a little bit. Now, obviously, Conceicao got off to a fast start. The jab was on point. It was definitely giving Valdez problems. It was keeping him on the outside, keeping him at bay, not allowing him to get inside and do that work that he likes to do up close, right? So Conceicao was definitely landing that jab from the outside. He was landing some really good right hands over the top, right? And even some good body shots. Clearly, first half of this fight was Conceicao's based off of just the jab and the volume. And he just seemed to be outworking Valdez, right? I had Conceicao winning rounds 1, 2, 4, and 5, and I gave Valdez rounds 3 and 6. Looking back, I could have easily given Conceicao round 3, and I have to be honest, I regret actually giving him Valdez, that is round 3. I felt as though I was going out of my way to not be biased towards Conceicao because I did put a little wager on him and because I did pick him to win. So I didn't want to seem too biased towards Conceicao. So I was trying to give Valdez the benefit of the doubt. And you could argue that round could have gone either way, but could have easily have been scored for Conceicao, right? You could say, well, that one punch, did it really change anything? Yeah, but Conceicao wasn't really dominating that round. He was doing more, but he really wasn't dominating that round. But you could argue that he did more work in that round just by sheer volume, right? And even in the first 6 rounds, we did see Conceicao actually backing Valdez up. So that jab was a sharp, stiff, authoritative type jab, not only a rhythm buster, but it actually knocked Valdez backward enough balance, right? Obviously, there was a shift in round 7, 8, and 9 where I thought were clear Valdez rounds, right? That's where you saw Conceicao's output drop a little bit, right? Saw it drop a little bit, and Valdez was able to get inside. Now you could argue that maybe Conceicao, overextended himself by throwing so many punches in the first 6 rounds. Did that have an effect on him? I mean, this is a guy that has never been 12 rounds. Was he conserving his energy, as Andre Ward said, for the second half of the fight? Did he have a false sense of security, thinking that he was so far up on the scorecards that he could coast a little bit? Those are things that you can ask, right? You can bring those questions up. Those are valid questions. And also, Valdez stepped it up a little bit. He was stepping in with his jab. He was really forcing his way inside. He seemed to be more determined. He seemed to step up the pace a little bit, and be a little bit more forceful and a little bit more aggressive in trying to get inside. And he was actually landing some good body shots and a couple good left hooks and right hands on the inside as well. So, he stepped up his game. He switched gears. He did make an adjustment, right? He became more aggressive and he took advantage of that little drop off in output from Conceicao. Now, was he the reason why there was a drop off, or was it because Conceicao, blew his wad early in the fight? There's an argument for both, right? But in my opinion, there was another shift in this fight in rounds 9, 10, and 11, right? Thought those rounds actually were swing rounds. All three of those rounds I felt could have easily been swing rounds and could have gone either way. Round 9, I thought was a ridiculous point deduction by the referee. I thought it was bullshit. I thought it was a disgrace taking a point away for those two little taps. But regardless, it happened, right? So in round 9, I did give Valdez that round, but I was tempted to make it a 9-9 because of the point deduction, because I thought it was really close. But I thought Valdez, you can make an argument, may have eked it out at the end, because Valdez was landing some power shots at the end of a lot of these rounds. And you could argue that maybe those could have swayed the judges, and possibly, you could give him the round based off of that. Round 10, I thought Conceicao won because I thought he established his distance. I thought his jab was back on point. I thought he was keeping Valdez at bay in that round, right? And I think he was pot shotting him and out landing him from the outside. And I thought Valdez wasn't able to get in that pocket where he likes to be and get in his comfort zone and land those shots on the inside. I thought that Conceicao was going back to what he was doing, earlier in the fight, the beginning of the fight, right? Round 11, I thought was real close too. I thought Conceicao was doing that. He got off to a good start, like the first minute of the round, right? Then he kind of took a break, coasted a little bit, and let Valdez come to him. Not a lot of punches were landed in the middle of that round, but you can make an argument that Valdez finished it strongly. He got inside, landed some good body shots, and Conceicao was on the ropes, toward the end of that round. So that was another close round that easily could have gone either way. But I, once again, gave that to Valdez. Now in round 12, Conceicao basically coasted as if he had this fight in the bag. So to me, there was a false sense of security from Conceicao. I thought that he felt that he had this fight won easily, and someone in the corner should have told him that this fight was close, and should have told him, hey, you got to make this, these championship rounds count. You really got to step on the gas here. Don't give up your momentum. And I thought he did give up his momentum in round 7, 8, and 9. And, 10 and 11, he picked it up a little bit, right? But towards the end of those rounds, he let Valdez back in a little bit. So, 9, 10, and 11 were close because of Valdez coming on strong and, the last, 45 seconds or minute to 45 seconds of the round. So that's why I thought those rounds were close, okay, to be perfectly honest. But round 12, Conceicao just took it off. And there's no way you could have given him round 12, in my opinion, right? So in a fight where you have, in my opinion, you have round 3 is a swing, round 9, 10, and 11 a swing. So you had 4 swing rounds, right? Thought you had 4 swing rounds. You can even argue round 6 was kind of close, but I thought Valdez won that round. I thought that's where he decided to step it up and really up the pace and switch gears. So in my opinion, you have 4 swing rounds. I thought that 7, 6, 7, and 8 were pretty much clear Valdez rounds. And I thought rounds 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, and 5 were clear Conceicao rounds, right? So in a fight where you have 4 swing rounds, I think it's very fair to say that those were swing rounds. You can have a variety of scorecards. Now, I ended up scoring this fight 115 and 112 for Valdez, but like I said, if I was to score the third round for Conceicao, right? And I was to make that ninth round 9-9 because of this ridiculous point deduction, right? Then I would have had it 114 or 113 for Conceicao. Then if I was to throw round 11 in there for Conceicao, I could have easily added 115 or 112 for Conceicao. So this was a 7-5 fight, maybe 6-6 fight. Either way, what really threw this fight for a loop was that point deduction. I thought that really injected some controversy in this fight where it didn't need to be. So was this a robbery? Nah. I don't believe so. I mean, you can look at the punch stats all you want. You can look at the connect percentages, whatever. But as Al Bernstein said, many others, the first 6 rounds, yeah, that's where Conceicao really was outworking Valdez. But after that, there was a significant drop in output, right? And Valdez was landing some pretty clean, good power shots in the second half of this fight, right? Or mainly in the middle rounds, like 6, 7, and 8, right? So it was a close fight, definitely a fight that I believe could have gone either way. I found myself, because I did lay a little something on Conceicao, I didn't want to come off as being biased towards him. So whether it was a fair enough on my part or a good excuse on my part to do that, generally, when someone picks a fighter and there's close rounds and swing rounds, they tend to give that fighter they picked the close swing round. But I felt, because I made that video, and I didn't want to give the impression that I was going out of my way to give Conceicao rounds just because I picked him to win, and I gambled on him, right? So because of that, out of the 4 swing rounds, I gave Conceicao one of them. Now, if I was to give him 2 of them, right? If I was to give him, 2 of those swing rounds, right? Then I could have easily had him up 114 to 113. So, I don't subscribe to these unwritten rules in boxing. Oh, well, you have to take it from the champion. Oh, look at the other guy's face, whatever. I score round by round, right? But judges will, in my opinion, and I think history has supported my opinion, they will give the benefit of the doubt to the champion in the close round. So looking back on this fight, I think I would have, if I didn't have that element of going out of my way to not be biased towards Conceicao because I bet on him. I think because of that mentality going into this fight, and it's a bad excuse. It's a bad excuse. I think looking back, right, I was kind of torn with myself on round 3 and round 9. I was leaning towards giving those 2 rounds to Conceicao, and I did not. So because of that, I believe that's why I gave it to Valdez. But again, you can make an argument for Valdez in those rounds. You really can. But I think round 3 was a round that I wish I took back. Round 9, yeah, it's close, right? It could have gone either way. But round 3, definitely, I'm saying to myself right now, you know what? Probably should have given that to Conceicao, because judging by how I normally score a fight, just because someone lands one good punch, unless that punch really buckles the guy or staggers him or makes him fall back into the ropes, I don't like to give a guy a round just for one punch. But you can make an argument too that Conceicao wasn't landing anything of significance. Valdez was kind of coming forward in that round. He was the aggressor, but either way. But Normally, I would not have given that round to Valdez, but because I was going out of my way and I thought the round it was kind of close, but like I said, I have to confess, I was going out of my way scoring this fight to not appear to be biased towards Conceicao because everybody knew that I was picking him for the upset. That's the thing. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Thank you so much, Ring IQ. Appreciate that. He says the Amy style does not work. Been saying it for 50 years. Yeah, I think you make a very good point there. Definitely make a good point there. History has shown you to be right in that area. Definitely shown you to be right in that area, especially when the you know the A side guy is the aggressor guy, right? So they sometimes the judges are looking for the cleaner shots. They're not looking for the volume, right? We've seen it before, right? But I do think Valdez was kind of off. And I got in this debate with Victor Conti yesterday on Twitter, you know, and I'm going to stand by what I said. I'm going to stand by what I said. I do believe that Valdez should not have been allowed to fight, and I do believe he should have been stripped. And even if you want to allow him to fight based off of WADA and the commissions go by WADA, whatever, then at the very least, the fight should not have been for a title. It should have been for a title if Conceicao won. I agree with all that. But I will say this, and I will stand by this, and I think his performance proved me right. I think his performance proved me. Sweater, can you just mute yourself for a couple seconds before I go to you, and then when excellent, thank you so much. So as I said, my argument all along was, yeah, this drug is an effective weight loss drug because it's a strong appetite suppressant. But in terms of being a performance enhancer, the jury is still out. It's a mild to moderate stimulant, right? And my argument is when you're a depleted athlete, already restricting calories, already in hard training, and you're not carrying a high level of body fat, right? And you're calling upon yourself to have to lose a lot of weight in a short period of time, and you have a weight loss drug like this in your system, close to the fight, late in the camp, that's a red flag. That's not a good sign because, again, you're taking an already depleted body and you're giving it a drug that is going to put added stress on the fighter's body. It's going to release, those neurotransmitters, right? The dopamine, the norepinephrine, and the serotonin. And what's going to happen is it's going to cause the athlete to deplete those neurotransmitters too quickly. And when you do deplete those neurotransmitters too quickly, what happens? Put a shit ton of stress on your body. That's when the stress hormone cortisol kicks in, which is something you don't want. And actually, instead of helping your performance, you worsen it. Now, you will step on the scale, making that weight, that magic number of 130, right? And that's even questionable because he got on the scale 3 times before they announced his weight. So I do not believe, as Victor Conti says, that this is some super drug that's going to make an athlete perform better. And not only that, because it's in and out of your system so quickly, the benefits are short-lived. And if you can't take it on fight night, then you're not going to get that benefit, right? And there would be no need to take it on fight night because you would only use this drug in an attempt to make weight. So if you already made weight, which you would have made 36 hours before the fight, then there would be no reason to take it 24 hours before the fight. So I do believe that it should be banned in and out of competition. But the notion that this drug was going to make Valdez fight better, I predicted it would make him fight worse. And by my theory, I believe I was correct. So I disagree with Victor Conte. I think Victor Conte was embellishing this drug, trying to bring attention to himself, because Victor Conte's goal is to sell supplements. Don't use these PEDs. Instead, come buy my supplements. So that's why I think that Victor Conte has an agenda, and I don't believe that he's 100% honest in his assessment of this drug. I don't believe so. And I think Valdez's performance proved me correct. All right, brother. What is your name there? Sweater Pup? Sweater Puppets? Go ahead, man. Jump in. What do you got for me?
This is I, Sweater Puppets, and I am in agreement with you, Beeb. I'm going to say this. The people are mad at the wrong thing, for starters. And I watched it all week, and I didn't want to feel like I was defending Valdez, because I'm not. As far as I'm concerned, he's a dirty fighter, as far as I'm concerned. But people were focused on the wrong thing. If you're mad that the fight is going through, stop talking about the WBC. The WBC, they couldn't have stopped that fight. The most they could have did was strip Valdez. But it was up to the commission to stop the fight. And why didn't the commission stop the fight? Because they observed the WADA rules. So if people are outraged that a guy that got popped got to fight somebody, who you're really mad at is the commission, not the WBC, not Top Rank, not ESPN. The Pasquayaki tribe had the teeth to stop the fight. Yeah. But based on their protocols, they observe WADA, not VADA. So I was never waiting for the fight to be stopped. The one thing I will say is, yeah, he should have been stripped. They should have took the title from him. Why? The WBC works with VADA. Yes. Whose banned list do they use? VADA's. So you're in violation of the rules. They should have stripped him. Yeah. As far as his performance, and I said this several times, I'm gonna say it again. Taking a performance-enhancing drug is not going to teach you how to throw a proper jab. Yeah. It's not going to teach you how to throw a right cross, set up an uppercut. It's not going to teach you how to get lead foot advantage. It's not going to do any of those things. So as far as the fighter's ability to box, their ability to box, that ain't got nothing to do with no motherfucking phentermine. My understanding is the benefit of phentermine isn't just that it's a weight loss agent, but I believe it's a vasodilator. I have to look at that again, but I do believe it's a vasodilator.
It is. And I'll tell you why it is. All stimulants are, because what they do is they do constrict your blood vessels. And that's actually worse. And I'll tell you why. Because when you constrict your blood vessels, right? Your blood is not going to your muscles, right? You're not able to recover, because what happens is, when you take something like citrulline malate, there's different pathways to getting energy, right? And blood, what does blood do? It provides oxygen to your brain and your muscles. So when you constrict that, you run into problems. That's why when they do these pre-workouts, when you look at Victor Conte's Expedite, what does it have in it? It has citrulline malate in it. Why? So it can counteract what you just said, the constricting of the blood vessels. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm smarter than anyone, but you're looking at a guy that has taken every stimulant known to man, possibly, right? And I know what they do. And again, it's the benefits of these stimulants are short-lived, and they have deleterious effects when you're taking them. When you overexert, like I said, I hate to sound like a broken record, but when you're overexerting those neurotransmitters and you're burning them out so quickly. So in other words, it's like taking a car and flooring it, right? For a long period of time. You're going to run out of gas.
That's what I want to ask you, Joe.
Sure.
At least this is what I want to ask you about. I see that you touched on it, because I've been wondering it myself. What's Victor Conte's angle here? Because I felt like he was hamming it up. Nobody's addressing.
Yeah.
Nobody's addressing that. And
Well, we did. We did. Me and
Oh no,
Punch
I
did.
saw
Yeah.
you did. I saw
Yeah.
you did. But
Yeah.
when I went to Twitter and I'm looking at, I saw people's initial reaction to it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand why nobody's saying that. You know, as far as Water was concerned, as far as they were concerned, he didn't break a rule. So the fight is actually clear to go on because of that. It's not clear because of the WBC. It's not clear because of Top Rank. It's not clear because of ESPN. No, as far as the Pasquayaki tribe is concerned, who observe WADA, not VADA, he didn't break a rule. It's clear cut. Now,
Yeah.
do I think that makes him a clean fighter? No, I think he's a dirty
No,
fighter.
he tried to game the. He definitely tried to game the system to make weight. He took.
Yes.
In my opinion, I just want to keep it 100 in context. This is just my opinion, and I believe this with 100% certainty. I do not in any way, shape, or form believe he took this drug to enhance his performance. This was a last-ditch effort from a desperate fighter to make weight. That's just my opinion. I said this, and that's all it is. Now, again, that's wrong because the other guy didn't have that same luxury of taking this supplement to make weight. He had to do it the hard way.
Okay.
I'm not. So people are gonna get it twisted. Oh, Pete, you're defending. No, I'm speaking truth. I'm speaking truth. I'm taking science. Now I'll tell you what Victor Conte's angle is. He has to go out of his way to embellish how bad these supplements are. You know why? Because don't take these supplements. Excuse me, these PEDs. Don't take these drugs, these performance enhancing drugs. Come buy my supplements and I'll give you the same effect and we can do it legally. That's the angle. That's always been the angle. No other sport.
I watched them all week.
Went out of his way. Went out of his way.
And
he was on Twitter. I apologize for interrupting you because I'm getting so passionate here. He was on Twitter at 2:30 in the morning debating me, hijacking my tweets. A fucking shit bum with fucking 3,000 subscribers on YouTube that ain't nobody. Why are you fucking hijacking my tweets? You know why? Because I hit a fucking nerve.
Listen,
hit a nerve.
As far as I'm concerned, and I'm glad that you put a motive behind it because I've been watching Victor and I'm like, listen, I don't actually believe that Victor went straight. I don't.
No, he didn't.
I don't believe he went straight.
He's trying to sell the supplements. All you got to do is look at Fight Hub and look at all these advertising spots he's trying. No other sport will go near the guy or touch him because they know he's full of shit.
So at least that characterizes that. And I reiterate, most people, as far as the quote unquote outrage for the fight being, allowed to go on, those people have nothing to be outraged about.
No.
The Pasquayaki tribe observes the WADA rules, and the WADA rules dictate that out of competition, that is not a banned substance. It's not hard to understand.
You know why though? You know why it's not a? You know why?
Because the benefit is short-lived.
There you go.
The benefit is short-lived.
There you go.
The only, and this is why I'll say this is why I feel it should be qualifiable and not quantifiable, because even though the benefit is short-lived, so long as you're on the drug and you're training on the drug, you're receiving the benefit. So by the time fight night gets here, you don't actually need the drug. Here's the counter argument to that. So you're getting the benefits, the short-lived benefits in training, right? But here's the funny thing about anything that you give your body artificially. Anything you take exogenous, right? Your natural production of whatever you're taking exogenous. So in other words, you're getting those release of those neurotransmitters, right? The dopamine, the norepinephrine, and the serotonin. So what does your body do? Stops making them.
So what happens? What happens when you go off the stimulants cold turkey? Well, you get tired. It worsens your performance.
Let's say this, Joe. We know that the same is true of creatine. For anybody who's ever worked out, you got to cycle on and off of creatine. You can't just take it.
Correct.
So
there's a lot of non-responders to creatine too, like me. I'm a non-responder.
Yeah, I mean, you could drink. Honest to God, you could drink a fucking cup of coffee, and it gives you almost the same feeling that creatine does. That's how I was when I looked at what I was paying for creatine.
Creatine's you can just eat a steak and get creatine. You can eat a steak and get creatine too.
Exactly. So we know that the body stops producing things once you've been supplementing them for too long. My thing is the body doesn't make phentermine. So
No.
I see an area there where, you know what, phentermine should be qualifiable and not quantifiable. The way they've got it, it's quantifiable. It's
That's what
based on the
caffeine is. That's what caffeine is. It's the same thing with caffeine.
and the way I look at it is, you know, you got this out of competition rule. If a guy's been using this the whole time he's been out of competition, he is going to receive some kind of a benefit that he may not need on fight night. You know, like, well, you don't need to be on phentermine the night of the fight because every other fucking night you've been on phentermine.
But you know the side effects of long-term use?
Now, what are they?
Insomnia, right?
Oscar said he couldn't sleep. He said
insomnia, and guess what happens? You become anorexic because you don't want to eat, so you can't get the nutritional. You can't meet your nutritional needs to recover. You can't meet your sleep needs to recover. And once again, once you burn out those neurotransmitters, where's the energy coming from? It's gone. So long-term use actually has deleterious effects. You get diminished returns on it. This is good. You know why? This would be beneficial for a stimulant on fight night, because again, it would be in and out of your system quick, and you wouldn't have to abuse it, right? You wouldn't be beating the shit out of you. When you take these stimulants, you are beating the shit out of your nervous system.
Yeah.
You are a fucking wreck. They cause depression. People can take strokes from these if they abuse them. Look at all those supplements that the kids were taking, these football players, when they took the fucking Rip Fuel and the fucking ephedra stacks. They were dropping like flies. That's why they banned all this shit. So a lot of these drugs are on the ban list, not just because of their performance enhancing properties, but because they're dangerous. And here's another thing. Why does every single other drug testing agency follow WADA, and VADA does not? And
I mean, look. I think Margaret Goodman, you know, I think she's trying to be the Joan of Arc of the shit, because I don't see anyone addressing it. The discrepancy that needs to be addressed the most is why WADA allows it outside of competition and VADA does not. Well, enough time wasn't spent on that conversation that the only real reason this fight is going through is because WADA doesn't ban this substance, not out of competition. More people spent time on the WBC.
One does. UCOD doesn't. UCOD doesn't. The IOC doesn't. Fucking USADA doesn't. So and then you know, in the same token, if you go to VADA's website, they say we adhere to WADA, but then underneath it, they're saying that these substances are banned at all times. So which one is it? Do you adhere? They're sending them.
Yeah, it's a clear cut issue to me. I already see why the fight went through. I understand it. The only thing I'll say is that the WBC, by all rights, they should have stripped Oscar. Why?
100%.
You adhere to VADA. The clean boxing program is not co-run by you and WADA. It's you and VADA. So if VADA's telling you, yo, this dude has a substance that's on our ban list in his system, you have to strip him. That's where, to me, that's where the corruption is, if it's anywhere. That's where it is. Well, you should have stripped him.
It's a hypocrisy too, because you know you're questioning the science, but again, the agency that you're in bed with is on one side of the science, and even though there is another side of the science, you chose to be on their side of the science because you have to follow through with that now, without question. At the very least, you're 100% correct all along. Like you were saying, they should have stripped him.
That's the most to me. That's the most that should have come out of this. That they stripped the guy. You know, if you want to make an example out of it, and I knew that they weren't. I think in the back of our minds, we all knew they're not stripping this guy. They're gonna find a way to let him keep that belt. But if you want to talk about the corruption, it's not that the fight went through. It's that he should have been stripped. You adhere to VADA's protocols, right?
Well,
okay, VADA told you what's going on. What are you waiting for?
Billy Joe Saunders was not allowed to fight in Massachusetts because the commission can choose to do what they want to do. They don't have to follow WADA. They like Billy Joe Saunders had the oxyflurane, which was another stimulant, same type of thing. It's like an asthma medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know that's on the out of competition list being allowed by WADA too, but Massachusetts decided, hey, we're not going to allow this fight to go on. So
No,
They made the decision. But you're right. I mean, 9 out of 10 commissions would have allowed this fight to go on. But Massachusetts was the outlier in this situation. They decided in that Saunders Andrade fight not to let the fight go on.
Yeah, and I can't use, and I guess for lack of a better word, an exception to the rule. I agreed with what Massachusetts decided to do.
Yeah.
I think Billy was stripped of the title in that fight too.
Well, that's a misconception too. That he vacated the title.
I got a question.
He vacated it. No, he vacated it. He vacated it.
There we go. He
vacated it. That's another misconception, because if you go back and research that, he vacated that.
Exactly. That's where my memory was hazy. Was he stripped for the substances, or was he stripped for not fighting Dimitri? Because I remember Andrade was his mandatory. So I'm like, did he get stripped for that? Or did he get stripped for the substance?
He wanted to go up to 168 anyway, so it didn't really matter. And I don't want to cast aspersions, but I'm curious whether or not he really wanted to fight Andrade or not.
I honest to God, I don't think he did. He had a choice: fight for a vacant title or fight Andrade for in defense of yours, and he made his choice. The bottom line is, there's a lot of virtue signaling in boxing right now. There is. I don't classify. If you know anything about these drugs, I wouldn't put fen-phen in the same place as nandrolone, for example.
No.
The actual powers that be, they don't. Nandrolone is a performance enhancer. Like, if you talk
without question, it helps you recover quicker. Yeah,
like that. That's a true blue performance enhancing drug. Is this intended to give Oscar a pass? No, I think Oscar's a dirty fighter. I think a lot of fighters out of that gym are dirty fighters. But I think boxing is a dirty sport. There's more. It's more going on here than just Oscar Valdez, man. You like, it's more going on here, man. Yeah. Anyway, Joe, always a pleasure.
Nice to have you on, brother. I'll talk to you, man. H,
what's good?
What do you got? What do you got for me, bro? What do you got for me,
man? It was a great night of boxing, man. I felt like Robson won the fight, B. I gotta be honest with you, man. I felt like he outboxed Oscar Valdez. I thought he outworked Oscar Valdez. He outlanded him, B. I believe by like 70 punches. And then he threw like 200 more punches than Oscar Valdez. This guy trained his whole life for this moment to get an opportunity at a world title. And I felt like he won the fight. He felt like he won the fight. Just look at Oscar Valdez, his face after the fight. He looked like a beaten man. Robson deserved the win. That's what I think. He deserved the victory. What did you think about it?
Well, I said earlier, there was a lot of swing rounds here, and I picked Conceicao to win this fight. I was recommending people put a little bit of money on him. I thought he was a very live underdog. So I have to confess, I was going out of my way to not be biased towards him because I picked him and I bet on him. But the third round I could have easily given to him, and if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have. Round 9 was another one where I gave to Valdez, where I kind of said to myself, maybe I should have given that to Conceicao. So it could have easily been 115 and 112 either way, or 114 or 113 for Conceicao. I honestly believe that this was a fight that could have gone either way. And if you did have Conceicao winning this fight, I don't think you're off base.
Yeah,
I don't think you're off base.
If we go by stats or copy box numbers, right? He outlanded Oscar Valdez. Outlanded him.
Here's the thing. Now the argument is, he outlanded him early, but then he dropped off. But Valdez did go on a little run in the mid rounds, but then again, I thought Conceicao started coming back a little bit in the championship rounds. So, how did you score rounds 9, 10, and 11? I gave Conceicao round 10, but again, I could have given him round 9 too if I wanted to.
Yeah, Oscar Valdez, he came on late in the fight, but he was still being outboxed. He was being outworked. Now, if you look at his work rate, he was outlanding Oscar Valdez easily throughout most of those rounds, brother. He was outlanding him, and I just felt like he deserved the victory. I wasn't impressed by Oscar Valdez at all, Beeb. It was a lackadaisical performance. He's coming off the biggest win in his career, and this is supposed to be a coming out party for Oscar Valdez. But instead, he tests positive for a banned substance, and on top of that, he doesn't have a good performance at all. I'm not impressed by Oscar Valdez. I think Shakur Stevenson will beat him. I think Shakur Stevenson is going to beat Jamel Herring. I think Shakur Stevenson will beat him in at 130. Now, on the undercard, Gabriel Flores Jr. took a loss today, and I think it was a devastating loss. He's one of the best prospects in the lightweight division, only 21 years old, and he got beat. He got beat down, Beeb. What did you think about that fight?
I was shocked. I wasn't expecting that. I got blindsided by that. And it just goes to show you that, anything can happen in the sport of boxing. Anything can happen in the sport of boxing. So, yeah, I expected him to win, and he did not. So it was a huge upset. I thought it was a pretty big upset there.
And you talked to him before, I believe, on D-Style Boxing. He was on HCP, and he's a very good young fighter, very good kid. Man, it hurts to see these young fighters take a loss. Like, we hyped him up so much, and he takes a loss early in his career, and it was a bad loss. He took a lot of punishment in that fight. Do you feel like they should have stopped it?
I always go on the side of stopping a fight too early than stopping it too late. There was I thought they probably should have stopped it, but that's just me. I've always been on the side of caution when it comes to guys getting hurt in the ring. But you got to blame the corner sometimes. The corner's got to save the fighter from himself, and that disturbs me more than anything, because that corner is supposed to have the fighter's best interest at heart. And if you're going to put everything on the referee and you're going to put everything on the fighter, because why put the fighter in a situation where he has to step out of the fight, right? Save the fighter from himself. Save the fighter from having to go through that, embarrassment or whatever, or just that blow to his ego of saying that I can't continue. Take all that out of the equation and step in and do what's right for the fighter. Do what's right for the fighter. That's what should be done in every situation. If you are in that camp, this is why it's so disturbing to hear Deontay Wilder say what he said, with that Mark Breland situation, because that man had your best interest at heart. He had your safety at heart. He was concerned about you getting hurt, and he wanted you to go back to your family safely. So yeah, they should have stopped the fight. They should have stopped the fight. There's no moral victory in the sport of boxing just by saying you went 12. Even though you're losing every round, you're getting beat up, and you went the distance. No one's going to care about that. No one's going to care about that. You don't get paid extra for having more heart or having a great chin. What happens is you pay for it when you retire. You pay for it in your later years. You pay for it because it takes years off of your career. And a young guy like that should not have to suffer so early in his career when he's got his whole life ahead of him in the sport of boxing. So that's my take on that.
Biba, drop the link for Maestro.
I did.
Okay. I did. That's the YouTube link. I think that's the wrong one. Drop the StreamYard link.
My fault. Shit.
It's all good.
Yeah, my fault.
But yeah, man, I was shocked when he lost too, because he was a very good prospect in the sport of boxing. He had a lot of skills. I don't know if he trained properly for the fight. He didn't look like himself. He didn't look like himself in there, Beeb. So, man, I hope he can bounce back. But that's a tough loss. And
that'll definitely have a psychological effect on him, right? Do you agree? Do you agree with that? Possibly.
Yes, it should. For a young fighter like that to take that type of punishment, it's going to have an effect on him. And like you said, they should have stopped the fight. He took an unnecessary punishment. I mean, I just seen Hector Tanajara. He took a loss, and he was another prospect in the lightweight division. He got beat down by William Zabeda, but Robert Garcia stopped the fight before he could take serious punishment. He was getting beat pretty bad, but before it got real brutal, they stopped the fight. So hey, I appreciate you having me once again. I had to show love. This is one of my favorite channels, one of the first channels I subscribed to on YouTube. Shout out to Eric. Shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to Maestro. And I'm looking forward to, the fights coming up. Anthony Joshua versus Usyk, Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. Let's go Fury, and man, shout outs to Ugas. Ugas shocked the world, man.
Yeah, he shocked the world, baby.
Yep.
Shocked the world.
Ugas, and I appreciate it, B. Thanks for having me, bro.
All right, man. Always a pleasure, brother. Peace out. Yeah, so, people can say what they want about the whole situation with Valdez, but, we saw what happened yesterday. Maestro, ¿qué pasa?
Yo,
What up?
todo bien, mi hermano Habib, ¿cómo estás?
Yeah, está bien.
I'm doing better than Robson Conceicao, that's for sure.
Yeah. I kind of thought they were going to give it to him, to be honest with you.
When I knew they were going to give it to him? When he did a little friendly love tap to the dude behind his head, and
that was so aggravated. That was so that pissed me off so fucking bad when they did that.
Because he was winning that round, and then that round turned into a 10-8 round in the other direction. He was winning that round.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's funny to me because he busted up Valdez and opened him up. What was it, the 8th round he did that? I mean, it was definitely in the second half of the fight.
Yeah, what happened was, in the championship rounds, all due respect to Andre Ward, but like the way he was saying that Conceicao was folding up his tent and going home is like,
I didn't see it.
It was so overstated. Like, okay, yeah, there was a lull in the mid rounds, but he came back in the championship rounds a little bit, like 9, 10, and 11. He made a little run himself. It wasn't like he just packed it in.
You know what kills me about Andre Ward when he's saying stuff like that? It's like, bro, I've seen your fights. It's like you're telling guys to do stuff that you didn't do, and they're fighting in a way that you fought when you were winning your fights. I mean, he wasn't a volume puncher. He wasn't dominating guys with like heavy shots and volume shots for 12 rounds.
Yeah,
there was a measured approach.
Yes,
right.
Correct.
He dipped in terms of his punch output and his in his attack. It wasn't like a sustained beating the entire fight. I mean, it's just very interesting for me to hear him basically expect guys to do something that he never even did himself. But, he did take a couple rounds off. That's normal in boxing. That doesn't mean he loses the fight because of it, you know. And by the way, I did think he won the 3rd round.
Yeah, I regret giving that round to Valdez, but like I said, I picked Conceicao. I went out of my way to not, to give Valdez the benefit of the doubt because I didn't want to be biased against him. I didn't want to have that bias against him because I knew I picked the other guy. I knew I bet on the other guy, so I didn't want to make it look like I was caping for Conceicao because of that. And I think if I went back, if I could go back, and normally obviously you can't go back. I believe that if you score it the first time you score it counts, right? But I actually do regret giving Valdez that 3rd round because I usually don't like doing stuff like that. It was kind of quiet, but I thought that Conceicao was busier in the round. But that whole premise of giving a guy a round just by landing one big shot or one good shot. I don't like doing that. It's like Andre Ward.
It didn't buckle him either.
Nah, like Andre Ward had everyone believing that Lomachenko won that 2nd round against friggin' Lopez, and I just didn't see it. There's
another thing that people barely mention, but I've heard guys talk about it, like especially guys who are responsible on these networks just for scoring the fights, right? It's very difficult to score a fight like while you're giving analysis on the fight at the same time.
Excellent point.
And that's what Andre Ward does. He's not a Harold Letterman. He's not a Larry Hazard. Yeah. He's not Marcos Villegas. He's doing essentially color commentary while scoring a fight. And, when you're doing color commentary, you're, distracted by the commentary that you're giving. You're distracted by the fact that you need to respond to the blow-by-blow guy and the other commentator. You're not actually scoring a fight, I've seen so many fights where I'm like scoring the fight live, but I'm distracted by the people around me. I'm distracted by the fact that I'm on Twitter or texting people. And then when you actually sit down and score the fight, like an actual judge later on, it's a totally different contest. So I don't give much credibility to that scorecard at all. Nor do I give credibility to 117 scorecards. Are you kidding me?
That was kind of crazy.
What?
That was kind of crazy.
Now, here's my question, though, for the people who don't think that Valdez might have been benefited from this. And I'm going to lay my cards on the table. I said this to D-Style earlier.
Yeah.
When I'm making this point, I'm a Miguel Burchelt fan. I'm not turning this into Cotto fans that now go back and say that Margarito's hands were loaded because of what happened in a subsequent fight. But I will pose the question this way. Burchelt struggled to make 130 pounds. That was obvious. It was obvious in the ring. It was obvious at the weigh-in. Would he not have benefited? Would his performance not have benefited had he had an easier weight cut? I mean, to me, that is an argument of why these kind of drugs should not be allowed. Because I know how difficult,
I agree.
personally, it is to make a weight cut.
Yeah.
It depletes you totally, much more than anything these drugs could do, at least in a short-term basis.
Yeah. My argument is, he did get a shortcut to make weight, but the other guy didn't have that advantage. I understand that, but from my personal experience with these types of drugs, when you're already lean and you're training hard and you're calorie depleting and you're putting stress on your body, these drugs will get you where you need to be on the scale, but they fucked my performance up. I got weaker. I performed worse on these drugs. I looked better, but I didn't feel better because, like I said, you are getting an unfair advantage. You're getting a shortcut to make the weight, but because of the depletion of these neurotransmitters, because when you're giving this drug to an obese person has an abundance of glycogen in their body. They have an abundance.
Fat cells they can rely on.
Yeah, they have the fat cells that they could go to towards energy. When you take a guy like Valdez, who's not overweight, he's calorie depleting, and he's putting his body under stress. When you're taking a drug that makes you not want to eat, then you're not going to give your body the nutrients it needs to recover. When you're taking a drug that's going to affect your sleep, then you're not going to be able to sleep and recover. I predicted that he would come out flat because of him taking this drug so late in camp. And I think I was right. I think I don't believe that this is a type of drug that is going to make you perform better. It's a mild to moderate stimulant. It's not like, some super drug that Conti was saying. Now, definitely he got an unfair advantage making weight, and I still even question whether or not he made weight. He got on the scale 3 times, and then they kind of, there was a long pause, and then they said, 130. So I'm not even sure he even made weight. They had to fucking manipulate the scale. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. Maybe I am, but my eyes don't lie. Like, it looked kind of fishy that he got on that scale 3 fucking times.
Well, your weight doesn't change in a minute or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But here's my thing with what you were saying. People can't have it both ways. If this is an out of competition drug because it's a short-term benefit and he took it earlier in the camp.
If it's a benefit at all.
If it's a benefit at all and he took it earlier in the camp, then you can't also say that, well, it would have affected him on fight night if it was already out of his system and the effects of it are long gone.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, I understand that, the body's depleted, it was ready. But think of a Miguel Burchelt. He's even skinnier than Oscar Valdez. He's taller than Oscar Valdez. He's as depleted as anybody can be. And at that point, he's restricting himself from fluids, from food. I mean, you're not going to get more depleted than that. If he could have had anything that would have helped him, whether it was raising his metabolic rate.
What would have helped him? You know what would have helped him? clenbuterol, not this.
Yeah.
Because this drug clenbuterol has some mild anabolic properties. It's very different. But once again, clenbuterol, insomnia, gives you the shakes, cortisol release. So these drugs are, my thing is, if you're gonna try to get some energy, whatever, right? Take some caffeine, some citrulline malate, play around with this shit.
I'll admit something right now. When I was in college, I struggled to make 178 pounds. If you can believe that, I used to weigh in at that. Because now I'm like over 230. I'm 6'4", and there was a Chinese tea that had something called ephedrine in it naturally.
Ephedra. I took ephedra.
Yeah, but it was from the tea. It was like a powder. So in my mind, it was like
same alkaloids.
It was like, now there's a natural thing, bro. I couldn't sleep. I had zero appetite. It's exactly what you said. I had the shakes.
You got weaker. You got weaker.
Yeah, I got weaker.
I don't want to get. I couldn't even get hard-ons because I was so depleted. Couldn't have sex.
That happened too.
Right.
And that was in my prime of my life as well.
But you looked awesome, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I did.
You were shredded. You were shredded, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't feel good.
But I stopped taking it after the first time because I really didn't like the reaction. Now, I don't know if this is like a ephedra. I don't really know. Can I explain
something to you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Maestro, all these stimulants affect the same neurotransmitters. They essentially all do the same thing. They release norepinephrine, dopamine, and serotonin. But as I said, when you're giving your body something unnatural, right? Something artificial, just like steroids. You take steroids, right? Exogenous forms of derivative testosterone, your body stops making the testosterone. So two things happen with these stimulants. You're burning up these neurotransmitters faster than your body wants to. So they empty out quicker. And that's how come you crash. That's number one, right? And number two, when you stop taking the stimulant, your body gets tired because it's so used to having that artificial source of energy. It's going to say to itself, there's no need for me to file these neurotransmitters because guess what? I'm waiting for him to give me this jolt artificially.
What's the equivalent of something more common that I think more people experience, which is caffeine addiction?
It's identical. It's identical.
Your body doesn't know what it's like at a certain point to be alert, be stimulated, to be ramped up and ready to go unless it's been fed the caffeine stimulant.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah.
But I just felt that just to bring it back, because I know Raphael's coming on.
Yeah, let Raphael jump in.
That the stack was against Robson last night, between the commission allowing the fight, between the headbutt, the rabbit punch nonsense. I mean, as soon as the rabbit punch nonsense happened, I knew that
that was ridiculous.
The cook was in, especially when Valdez was hitting them with clean, hard shots behind the head and wasn't getting the point taken away. Whatever. And the Gabriel Flores thing, I think it's safe to say that he's going to struggle moving forward because guys don't respect his power, and he telegraphs his counter shots, and it's tough. He's got bad habits, as they were saying in the telecast, and it's going to be tough to break those. But I think his biggest problem is his lack of punching power, and also his legs. If you look at his body, even his upper body, he doesn't really seem that strong, but definitely not in the legs. There's no definition in his legs at all.
He's kind of frail, isn't he?
Yes, very much
frail.
so.
He's frail, yeah. No, I got you.
Yeah,
Ralph,
we got two brothers with us right now.
Ralph, what's up, brother?
How you doing, brothers? Maestro, Beeb. You know my stance on this, Beeb. You know that I got issues with the way you're selling the fact that the notion that Conceicao Valdez took something which did nothing for him. You know I got an issue with that.
That's false. I mean, it helped him make weight, but I don't think it made him a better fighter. That's my stance. from personal experience with these.
Well,
I've taken much stronger stimulants than this drug, and I'll tell you that they have negative returns. If you're lean enough and you take these stimulants, you're going to get negative returns. I can tell you from personal experience. I've taken probably every stimulant under the sun.
Okay, so are we saying that we know more than Team Canelo? Are we saying that Reynoso? Are we saying that?
Yeah, yeah.
Please, please. Are
we beg? You don't have to beg. Don't ever beg. Don't ever beg, man. Be a man. Be a man. Be a man when you come on here.
The problem is that when you post something in question form,
shit out of him. I don't want to hit him, but I do want to wrestle the shit out of him.
Go ahead. You could probably kick my ass. I'm almost 53, for Christ's sakes. Go ahead.
So what I'm saying is that we can't be saying that Oscar Valdez from Team Reynoso was taking an illegal substance that did nothing for him. It's a stimulant. There's a reason these guys take stimulants. Now, can you overstimulate? Can you overstimulus? Yes, of course. But then you've got people in your camp. It's a professional boxing team. They will monitor what's going on. If you need to switch from this stimulant to that one, if you need to come off, let your what's the term? Okay, let your system clean out, then so be it. But he took an illegal substance.
Correct. That's correct.
He took an illegal substance. Yep. The commission, the Native American Commission, I forget their name, in Arizona, they said we're not following VADA, even though it's WBC Clean Boxing Program, we're following WADA. Now, VADA says it's wrong anytime. It's an illegal substance at any time. Yeah. WADA say, no, it's only an illegal substance on the day of the fight.
Correct.
Okay, so the commission, the Native American Commission said, okay, we're not following you, VADA, so you don't matter what you say, we're following WADA.
Correct.
Okay, so that's the reason the fight wasn't stopped. Had the commission honored VADA's position, the fight would have been cancelled.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, he should have been stripped of the title.
At the very least, he should have been stripped of the title.
We're in agreement. We're in agreement with all that.
We're in agreement with all that. My only issue is that you suggesting that the thing didn't have any effect. You couldn't know that. You're not in a position to know that it didn't have an effect. And I'm not saying you specifically said those words.
No.
But the implication you have implied that the thing had no effect. And you would not be in a position to know that.
I would be in a major position to know that because I talked to 3 doctors that told me that the jury is out whether or not this is a performance enhancer, because at best it's a mild to moderate stimulant, right? That's number one. Number two.
But Joe, to be fair, that's in competition, though. They're talking about in competition.
No, they said all what the doctors have told me that it's a mild to moderate, just regardless, right? It's they're saying, and then my whole argument here is Victor Conti jumped on Twitter and tried to sell to everybody that this was some fucking super drug that is going to make an athlete turn into Superman. In my opinion, you're 100% right. He cheated. He tried to game the system to make weight. I believe this was a desperate man, right? This was a desperate man who made a last-ditch effort to make weight by taking a weight loss drug so late in camp, which is a very strong appetite suppressant. So, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I believe him with 100% certainty that he did not take this drug to get a performance edge. I do believe that he tried to take a shortcut to make weight. And these guys, we've seen many fighters get on the scale and pass out. And these are supposed to be high-level fighters that have all these smart people around them. Just because you're smart doesn't mean you don't do stupid things, right? And that's why you have doctors who have one opinion and you have doctors that have another opinion. That's why you go to different doctors and each doctor more than likely will give you a different take on what they believe, right? So the science will tell you that there is no proven evidence to suggest that this is a performance enhancer. This is just something that Victor Conti came up with.
Why did Valdez take something which is not a
because he needed to make weight and he couldn't do it without the drug. He felt it was a last ditch. He took this drug, in my opinion, just so he could make weight. Obviously, he had a problem making weight, so he needed something to help him make weight. He did not.
Why did people take clenbuterol? It's the same reason.
Very differently. Clenbuterol is much different than this drug.
No, it's a cutting agent. It cuts weight off you.
Much different, though. Much different. Much different. Clenbuterol is much stronger than this drug, and it has anabolic properties.
Yes, that's true. Also,
doctors have told me, and athletes have told me, they actually lost muscle mass and felt weaker taking this drug.
But I think what Raphael's saying is what I'm saying, Joe, which is that if the argument is that, well, he didn't take this drug to perform better on the night, he only took it to lose weight, well, then there's a lot of things that people could take to lose weight. Why don't we allow people to fight with those things as well? Like, there's all kind of drugs with different properties that allow you to lose weight, and that won't give you a performance enhancement the night of the fight.
True. That's not true. All stimulants activate the same neurotransmitters in your body.
Right.
The norepinephrine, the dopamine, and the serotonin. All of them do.
Yes,
all of
Joe,
them do.
We're not disputing that. What we're saying is that the edge you're given is the ability to lose weight. This is a sport.
Irrefutable. Irrefutable.
This is a sport that requires a weight cut. Weight cuts are arguably the biggest challenge in a training camp.
I agree.
Especially fighters who have been fighting for decades, for years, and have sharpened their skills. The camp is about losing weight. The camp is about getting into fighting shape. That is where the benefit of this.
I agree. That's irrefutable. Irrefutable. But there's if you want to give a fighter energy and you want to help him recover quicker, this isn't the drug you give them. This is a drug for obese people. This is not a drug that an athlete, a drug that would be an athlete, a drug of choice for an athlete. It just wouldn't
be concerned. We can't be concerned with saying, oh, he should. Oh, if that's what he wanted to do, oh, he should have took this.
But we also can't lie and exaggerate and go against the science and try to tell people that this drug is something it's not.
We know it's a stimulant.
That's fine.
We know.
So is Sudafed. So is Sudafed. So is green tea. So is caffeine. So is ephedra. So is synephrine. So is ginseng. All these things are stimulants.
Caffeine under large quantities is a banned substance under WADA, I believe.
No, they took it off the banned substance list in 2004.
What's your point?
Okay, well, go ahead.
I made my point that this is not some super PED.
Listen, we saying it's a stimulant, and we know why the guy was using the stimulant
to lose weight, and he's trying to lose weight.
Right. So we all agreed on that, and that in itself, and that if he doesn't lose that weight, he cannot perform. Therefore, it's a performance-enhancing drug.
Thank you. That's essentially been my argument. Burchell's performance would have been enhanced against Valdez had he had an easier weight cut. He struggled. He was a zombie in the ring.
But
he showed up on the scales gaunt and beyond frail. Look, more boxers would benefit from an easier weight cut. I think that is
not necessarily. But what do you define as an easier weight cut? Just because you make weight faster and you're losing weight faster than you normally would, once again. When you lose weight too fast and you're further depleting a depleted body and you're taking a body to a place it doesn't want to go, that does not make you a better fighter. Now, he games the system to make weight.
But your body's already doing that when you cut weight, Joe.
Yeah,
You're already denying it nutrients.
Exactly. So why would you want to? Why would you want to?
You get that extra 1 pound.
Yeah, but that
out of the weight cut.
Again, you're not going to tell me that makes someone perform better. When you're depleted, you don't perform better.
If we were talking about a same day weigh-in, I think that argument would be stronger. But these guys do have time after weigh-ins significantly more than they did in the past.
But you can't beat the shit. You can't beat the shit out of your body for 8 weeks, right? And take your body to a point where it doesn't want to be at, and then all of a sudden think you're going to throw it. How many times do we heard fighters say, I had a shit performance because I had to cut too much weight in the camp?
Yes.
The guy
who said he was taking this for 8 weeks. We don't know that.
That's a problem that he was taking it so close to the fight.
Yeah.
That's
because he wanted the performance benefit of not having to cut an extra pound or pound and a half or 2 pounds that he otherwise would have had without the drug. Which is why he artificially lost the weight, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're taking your body to a weight that it naturally does not want to be in, you can't tell me that that's going to make you perform better. You can't tell me that all boxers are already doing that, Joe. Everybody who boxes is already taking their body to a weight it doesn't want to naturally be in. He's getting an extra pound or 2 off artificially, like you said.
Yeah. But here's the problem.
And that's
Here's the problem. These guys don't really think about what's going to happen the night of the fight when they're trying to weigh in. All they want to do is hit that magic number. So there's been plenty of fighters who have stepped on scales that have fainted and that have taken in the UFC. They take these stimulants. All of the fighters.
Because it's not banned under WADA.
It's not banned under anybody except for VADA, right? All USADA allows you, UCAD allows you to take these stimulants out of competition, right? So look at how many fighters in the UFC, they step on the scale and they faint and they wobble. Why? Because they're taking this shit just to make weight, and it's weakening them even more than the normal weight cut would do. All I'm saying is, he shouldn't have taken it. He was wrong, whatever, punish him. But I'm just not going to buy that this is going to make him perform better on the night of the fight. I'm just not. And it didn't. I was right.
No, but people who say that are people who say that are people who are listening to Victor Conte.
If I use science and I use common sense and I just use my own personal experiences and other athletes' personal experiences, you're not going to tell me right now, if you lost 25 pounds in 8 weeks, that you are going to be stronger on that 8th week than you were in that first week. You're not going to tell me that. It's just, I'm not going to believe it.
No, but nobody's saying that, Joe. But what I'm saying is that most boxers are doing that weight cut, but most boxers are not getting, most boxers are not getting the aid. Miguel Burchelt was making that drastic weight cut.
Yeah.
Robson Conceicao was probably making a drastic weight cut. He's taller than Oscar Valdez. He didn't have the aid of a stimulant that would have helped him shave off an extra pound, even a half pound. That's number one. But number two, I think people are conflating the views of a bass player who's got no scientific training, but who happens to run a supplement company in Victor Conte with what I'm saying and what Rafael Dawkins is saying. Victor Conte said that this was a stimulant that helps in competition. Well, he's not taking it in competition. So, I mean, people shouldn't be focused on that. What I'm saying, and I think what Rafael is saying, is that this is something that unnaturally assists you in losing weight.
I agree with all that. Yes. I'm not disputing that.
And as a consequence of that, it gets you to a place that you may not have got to naturally It's a performance enhancer on
But
that.
but if it's taking you a place that you may not get to naturally, that doesn't mean that it's a good place. Again,
I said it was a good place, my friend. I said it's
Okay.
a performance enhancer.
okay. It's a performance enhancer in making weight. It's
Yes.
not gonna make you stronger, faster, more explosive.
I don't think anyone's saying it's going to make you faster.
Oh, well, Victor Conti is.
Forget about Victor Conti.
Victor Conti is.
He's just
And then the problem is people are listening to Victor Conti telling everyone that this is a masking agent, which is bullshit.
Victor Conte is a bass player.
Victor
that you
Conti's
see
telling
the
everyone
Tower of Power. He's not a scientist.
Victor Conti and Heredia are telling everyone that this is going to stay in your system for a month, which it doesn't. It stays in your system for friggin' 36 to 40 hours. All I'm doing is debating all the bullshit of people embellishing what this drug does. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
I 100% firmly believe, and I think his performance proved it. I said it before the fight that he would perform worse because he's taking this drug. Because he's taking this drug so late in the camp, I believed he would have performed worse. And I was right. He performed worse. Arguably lost the fight.
we don't know,
So
the factors behind his performance, though. There are variable factors.
Well, you didn't watch his performance?
Yeah, what the performance? There are variable factors.
So you don't think him struggling to make weight had an effect on his performance? You don't believe that?
Him struggling to make. Do we know that? Do we know that he in the final days that he had problems? Because this
because why would he have fentanyl in his system less than 2 weeks before the fight? Why would that be in his system less than 2 weeks before the fight?
Yeah, he wanted the system
because he had a problem making weight. So he was
he's actually not admitting that, Joe. He's saying he doesn't know how it got in his system.
Well, I don't believe.
He's asking Mark Kriegel, "Don't you believe me? Don't you believe me that I never took this?"
I don't believe him.
I mean, we're giving him credit for something that he won't even acknowledge himself.
I don't believe him. I just have my opinion on it, and I believe my opinion is very valid based off of the science that I just mentioned, and based off of personal experience, and based off the talking to doctors and other athletes.
Well, my position is that he took a stimulant. The stimulant stimulated him.
Yeah, they do stimulate you. They do speed up your metabolism. Yeah. I'm not gonna. We're in agreement with that. Okay. But my argument is Victor Conti is trying to tell people that this makes him a better fighter.
Well, can we just leave Victor out of this for a second and just talk about?
Well,
can we just talk about it?
Do you think that do you actually believe, in your opinion, that this drug made him perform better?
I believe that stimulants get you.
Yes or no?
Well, I'm telling you, not every question is a yes or no answer, my friend. Right. I'm sure you know that, so you can't insist on yes.
Well, you can't tap dance on everything either, man. You can't bring your tap dance.
Come on, brother. You got some new.
I understand. I understand.
Tap dance.
I understand when I ask you an Anthony Joshua question how you like to tap dance because you can't go against your man. But this ain't Anthony Joshua.
Oh my Lord, brother,
this ain't Anthony Joshua.
Brother, let's stay on topic, man. We're talking about Oscar Valdez.
Yeah, I threw a straw man. I threw a straw man because it was for entertainment purposes. For entertainment purposes.
I'll accept that. So what I'm saying is stimulate. I was listening to you talking to your co-host Eric Lauter, and you was implying that no, the stimulant won't stimulate him; it will overstimulate him.
It will. It will.
How do you know it will overstimulate him?
Because again,
you would need to know how much he's taking to say it's overstimulating. Surely.
Because in order to get the effects of this, you would have to take it every day. And if you're already depleted, right? And you're taking this drug on top of already being depleted, then it's almost impossible to not burn out the norepinephrine, the serotonin, and the dopamine. You're gonna hit it. You're gonna hit a fucking wall. I've done it. I've done it. Time and time again, I've done it. You're talking to a person who's taken 10 times stronger shit than phentermine, and I've hit the fucking wall several times.
But here's the question. I think your argument and it's not like we're getting into the weeds here. It's not like we're arguing over the main core facts. But there's a difference between taking this drug at the very end of the camp, literally a day or two before the weigh-in, and when he was taking it. When did he test positive?
About roughly, I would say, a week and a half to 2 weeks before the fight.
Thank you. So at that point, your body's not totally depleted. It's not like
I would say it is, because that's when you're at the end.
I would not say it is.
I would say it is.
People are still sparring at that point. People are still doing road work at that point. People are still working out hard at that point.
Not really.
Let me finish my point and then go for it.
All right.
The point where you're totally depleted is when you've been denying yourself food and water in the last 72 to 48 hours before a fight. That's when your body's totally depleted. If he was taking it at that point, then I'm all in and agreeing with what you said. The problem is that he took this 2 weeks out. You're not at that stage yet. You're still just trying to get your weight down, right? You still haven't hit the optimal bench part that you need to hit, which is 130 pounds. You're still 2 weeks away from that.
Yeah.
Even if you look at the WBC's pre-weigh-ins that they used to do, like at that point, people are still like, what is it, 7-10 pounds over the weight limit, depending on the weight class. So that's all I was gonna say.
Well, with 2 weeks left to go, you should be pretty close, right? That's number one.
Come on, babe. That's not really the case.
Should be pretty close. If you're not pretty close, well, here's the problem. If you're not pretty close 2 weeks to go, if you're not within 7 to 8 pounds 2 weeks to go, that's not good. It's not a good thing. So
we know
that's my argument. That's my argument. If you're scrambling at the end to try to make weight, telling me you had a fucking horrible camp.
Well, a weight cut by definition, the weight cut you can be looking at a 10-pound cut the day prior. It's not ideal, but you can easily be looking at a 10-pound cut. We've seen UFC fighters. Hold on, babe. Hold on. Let me finish, man. We've seen UFC fighters cut close to 20 pounds. It's not good. It's not good for 24 hours. 20 pounds, it's horrible. It's not good. 10 pounds, not ideal. But if you're looking at 5 pounds in the region of 5 pounds, then you're good. You're good.
Well,
you can get that out there, rehydrate, and be good.
Does the WBC, do they still do the 30-day weigh-in?
Yeah.
And is there any way we could dig up what Valdez weighed in 30 days out?
Let's try and see if we can, if they still do it, because they're always changing up anyways, right? Let's see if we can find it. They used to it's kind of funny how they would used to broadcast that and publicize that, but I'm not sure if they publicized it for this fight. Right?
What's the question? What's the question, by doctor?
So the WBC, they used to have this policy, and perhaps they still do, where in a title fight, both combatants would have to weigh in 30 days out to make sure that they were in a particular range of weight. I think it was they'd have to be within 20 pounds or all right.
I got it.
Of the weight.
I got it. Oscar Valdez was 140.6 pounds 30 days out. And Conceicao was 142.8. So both of them met the 30-day weigh-in requirements.
There you go.
No good.
There you go. So in fact, Robson was higher than he was.
Correct. But
look,
do we know
this is looking really bad for Oscar Valdez, man.
But do we really know how long he was taking this phentermine? That's the question.
No, we don't.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Could we suspect that if he was taking this from the beginning of camp all the way up to 2 weeks out?
Why would he from the beginning?
Well, then he's in serious territory.
Why would he take it? Because he wanted to make weight.
No, but who's to say that he was taking it from the beginning of camp?
Who's to say he wasn't?
Well, that's the thing. We can only go off what we know, and what we know is that he tested positive for this thing 2 weeks out, and he could have just been.
How often does VADA test though? They test,
right, but he could have just been trying to get to, let's say, 134 135 pounds at that point, unnaturally, and then just keep the weight off until the few days before the weigh-in, when he's going to do his regular cut that everybody does by stopping to eat and drink for a little while. Like he could have just done this ahead of time, and then to just maintain the low weight afterwards. In which case, it wouldn't have affected him in any negative way, really.
And that would have been the smart way to use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
if I was going to cheat, that's exactly how I would use it.
Did his performance look enhanced yesterday?
Well, let me ask a question. Can we all agree that this substance allowed Valdez to make weight easier than his opponent?
Yes.
And that in itself inherently is an advantage.
Yes.
Perhaps not a performance-enhancing advantage, but and perhaps it can be construed in that way, but definitely an advantage that perhaps would manifest itself on fight night, whereas Valdez would be not quite as beat up in the weight making process as his opponent. Can we all agree?
Possibly could be worse, because as I said, if you're taking an already depleted body and you're putting a substance in there that's going to deplete it further, I don't think you're going to get good results. I just
don't think it would have been that depleted 2 weeks out, but that's what we disagree on.
Yeah.
I don't think you've been depleted. You're not really getting into depletion zone until you get into the really the last week, in fact, the last week.
I can show you video testimonies that will have people come out and said that they took this drug and it actually made them weaker. They actually lost muscle mass on it. Go on YouTube. You can go and you can listen to doctors who are telling you this is a mild to moderate stimulant, and it's very unclear whether or not this enhances performance or not. So I think everyone jumping on here saying that this drug was going to turn Oscar Valdez into Superman, I just think it was. I just don't agree with it. Well, whether or not that matters, that may not even matter. That in the grand scheme of things, my argument, honestly, doesn't even matter. But I just don't like everyone knows me. I don't like misinformation.
I don't like misinformation. I don't think is there somebody here who likes misinformation?
Oh, I think without a doubt this was misinformation, because there's a lot of people on Twitter that are just saying things about this drug that are not true. It does not stay in your system 30 days. Does not give you a benefit 30 days after you take it. It's not a masking agent. It's not some fucking super stimulant. It's a mild to moderate stimulant at best. It's considered a class 4 drug, so it's not even really a big deal in the grand scheme of things when you look at other drugs that are class 2. You know what I mean?
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question? What would have happened to Valdez in this fight had he not taken the substance? What would have happened?
Probably wouldn't have made weight. So I think your argument is strong in that department, fight doctor.
He might have lost his title. He might have lost his title.
Well, he probably lost his title, according to a lot of people last night, right? A lot of people, most of the fans thought he lost the fight.
I didn't. Yeah. I didn't see a robbery. This robbery.
I didn't see a robbery either. I scored the fight for Valdez, but I could have easily scored it for Conceicao as well too.
Well, I see it as fucked up because of the rabbit punch, 1 point deduction in a round that I thought Robson was winning. That on its own is literally a 3-point turnaround, a 3-point swing.
Yeah.
That's significant in boxing. Yeah. 3 points is significant and very significant in boxing. I got to dip up out of here, guys, but I do want to ask. No, I want to ask you guys one question before I go.
Sure.
Holyfield, Belfort.
I'm scared.
I'm very scared.
I'm scared even thinking about it.
What the fuck? He's almost 60 years old, guys. Like, what's going on here?
He's going on 59 next month.
After seeing Holyfield hit those pads, I'm very scared. Right? I even would make Ralph even money against Holyfield right now, based off of that pad work.
I'd do it. I'd take that fight.
Is anyone interested in any of the fights on this card?
Yes.
Which one?
Anderson Silva versus Tito Ortiz.
Ralph, you took the words out of my mouth, Ralph, you took the fucking words out of my mouth.
Anderson Silva versus Tito Ortiz, middleweight champion. and Anderson Silva, longest reigning champion in the UFC, versus one of the first mainstream UFC guy. It said that Tito Ortiz was the first mainstream UFC guy. He was on the game, the UFC game. Everybody picked him on the game. He was a crusher, whereas some of us really knew that he was a wrestler scared of the striker in Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
Ortiz is going to get pieced up.
Yeah, I think he's going to get pieced up too. Can I ask one last question to everyone on the panel, and to close out the Valdez Conceicao argument? This is a two-part question. Did Oscar Valdez perform like the 10-1 favorite that he was going into the fight? And did he perform like an enhanced athlete yesterday? In your opinion, everyone go around.
Did he perform like an enhanced athlete? You see.
Here comes the tap dancing.
See,
Fight doctor, look at the tap dancing. Look at the tap dancing. Whenever he starts tap dancing, that knows I know he doesn't want to concede that whatever what I'm saying.
I'll answer the question really quick and then I'll get out of here.
Let Maestro go.
Did he fight as an enhanced athlete? I don't know, because he fought a guy that has a bad style.
Did he perform? Did he perform like an enhanced athlete?
I mean, I didn't see a guy that was gassed out. I didn't see a guy that was fighting as if he was depleted or tired in any way. I saw a guy who was fighting a guy who's naturally a lot taller than him, who implemented a plan with a good jab, a good right hand, mixed in uppercut, and made it very difficult for him to get inside. I don't even think that he was enhanced, that it would have been easier for him to kind of close the distance. Definitely not in the first half of the fight. That's number one. Number two, he did not compete like a 10-1 favorite. I don't think he ever should have been a 10-1 favorite. He got a lot of credit off of the Burchelt victory, and Burchelt was totally depleted and weight drained in that fight. So, and was also known for eating the kind of punches that he ate that night. So it is what it is. I want to wish everyone a good Saturday. I'll connect with all of you through the various platforms and channels. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Subscribe to the brother Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio, and I'll be back Monday for Mano a Mano, 8 p.m. Eastern with Kenny T.
That's the Joshua PR channel over there, Raphael.
The Anthony Joshua cheerleading contingent.
AnthonyJoshua.com over. I love you, Maestro. Have a good day, man. Stay safe.
Right back at you guys. Take care,
Maestro. Now, you see, the problem is we don't know how he would have performed. Hold on. Had we not received this information, we don't know how he would have performed. Is it not? Can you not credit Conceicao for making Valdez look bad?
Yes. He's a much better fighter than I don't know if you saw the breakdown. I told people he was a much better fighter.
Yeah, I saw some of the breakdown.
Probably one of the best breakdowns you ever saw in your life. But
so yeah, I say you can't say that, because the answer could be Conceicao made Valdez look bad. You can't say it's anything to do with any stimulants.
To be fair, you could, like, same thing with Ugas and Pacquiao. You could argue that Pacquiao didn't get old. It was just a bad style matchup too.
Yeah.
I'll accept that.
Can I chime in?
I'll accept. Sure, absolutely, Fight Doctor. I'm so sorry you haven't been getting your time in. We'll let you get your time in.
Come on, get some time and get some screen time.
So in the first half of the fight, Conceicao.
You had it. Conceicao was right. That's right.
Conceicao. He looked good, and I thought he actually won more rounds first half of the fight. But the second half of the fight, Valdez sort of took over.
Fair enough.
Conceicao sort of fell on his face. The wheels were coming off, and Valdez looked to have the better stamina, but Conceicao was doing a lot of moving. And now, to answer your questions, did Valdez look like he was performance enhanced? I would say in the first half of the fight, definitely not. No. Second half of the fight, that's more difficult to answer, because Conceicao that was his first 12-round fight.
Correct.
So, and so no, I think ultimately no. I would answer that question no. The second question, did he look like the 10-1 favorite? Definitely not. Okay. Conceicao could have won this fight had he maybe had a little better strategy implemented a different strategy second half of the fight. And had the ref not been hometown, the home cooking, he definitely could have won this fight. So yeah, at 10-1, I don't know where odd makers were with that, finding a 10-1 favorite. I don't know how the hell that happened, but no.
Gotcha. Oh, I respect everyone's opinion. Ralph, I have to ask you a question. Do you think this Fury Wilder 3 fight's going to happen? Are you a little nervous that Fury may pull out of this one too? I'm a little nervous. I
think it will happen because the talk now, I think I was one of the guys who started the talk. If this fight falls through, if the third fight falls through, Tyson Fury should be stripped.
Yeah, I think he will be.
You can make him champion emeritus. You can make him whatever champion in recess, but it is imperative that if this fight doesn't happen, Tyson Fury should not be the WBC belt holder anymore.
All right.
So I think that will stimulate him to make it happen.
All right, guys. I did want to wrap it up. Thank you, Fight Doctor. Thank you, Raphael Dawkins, for joining us today. Make sure you check out the Ringside Reporter podcast tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern time with myself and Eric Lorda. Make sure you click the link in the description box for manscaped.com. Use the code Ringside Reporter. Get all your grooming needs, your apparel, boxers, shorts, shirts, various clippers for your nose, for your other parts. Make sure you click that link. It helps out the channel and helps us keep the lights on and pay the bills. All right, Beeb is out. Talk to y'all soon. Everyone have a great day, and talk to y'all later.
Peace.